China is home to approximately 1.354 billion people, over 25% of which use the internet. The average internet user is online about 2.5 hours a day. That's almost 18 hours a week, 72 hours a month, and 864 hours a year. That circles off to exactly 36 days spent on the internet all year. Using the internet seems like such a normal thing here. In China, as well as around 25 other countries, it's much deeper than that. When you search for or try to post anything to do with inciting to overthrow the government or socialist system, terrorism, crime, political scandals, or anything that could injure the reputation of state organizations, it is censored or blocked. How is this possible? In 1998, the Golden Shield Project, more often referred to as the Great Firewall of China, was initiated by the Ministry of Public Security Division of the Government of China and began operations in November 2003. The Great Firewall of China is a censorship and surveillance project used to control incoming and outgoing network traffic by analyzing data packets and determining whether they should be allowed through or not based on the applied rule set. This is just one of the main attributes to the problem. The Chinese Communist Party is currently in control of the government and has been since 1949. They have used censorship and propaganda to prevent any outside world influence in Communist China as their way of shaping the country. For just about as long as there's been internet, China has sought out to monitor and control how citizens use it. The firewall blocks websites on an array of sensitive topics. This is accomplished by tens of thousands of monitors and citizen volunteers who regularly sweep through blogs, chat forums, and even email to ensure that nothing challenges the country's so-called self-styled harmonious society. However, this does cause problems with citizens' personal information being recklessly collected, used without approval, illegally disclosed, and even traded without approval. Despite that, China's internet censors are intensifying a crackdown on bloggers and other online activity. The government has issued new rules that require internet users to provide their real names, also for internet companies to delete forbidden postings and report them to authorities. Authorities periodically detain and even jail internet users for politically sensitive comments. Environmentalist Tan Zuoren was sentenced to 5 years in prison for drawing attention to government corruption and poor construction of school buildings that collapsed and killed thousands of children during the 2008 earthquake in the Sichuan province of China. Internet censorship in China is said to be the most extensive effort to selectively censor human expression ever implemented. Lately, however, the Chinese Communist Party's nervousness of overseas news trickling in has increased. As a result, China has used pressure to influence media outlets outside China. They have directly done so by attempting to punish overseas outlets that fail to heed Chinese restrictions. They've also used economic incentives to induce self-censorship among media. Indirect pressure is applied through proxies like other foreign governments or advertisers, as well as cyber attacks and, on occasion, physical assaults. When the government of China censors something, it happens fast. To demonstrate, on September 27, 2011, a signal failure caused a train collision in Shanghai. More than 700 people were injured and over 30 were kept for overnight observation at the hospital. That day, over 250 posts about the incident were censored, as well as many others throughout the week in times passing. Another important event that the government attempted to hide was the Gu Kailai scandal. On July 26, 2012, Gu Kailai, wife of politician Bo Kailai, was charged with the murder of British businessman Neil Haywood, and on August 20, 2012 was given a suspended death sentence, which in China is typically commuted to life imprisonment. On the day of the incidents, over 30 posts were blocked and more in the time following. However, that's not where the scandal ended. Bo Kailai, the popular Communist Party chief in Chongqing, a major city in China, was expelled from the Communist Party and Parliament and faced prosecution. On July 25, 2013, he was charged with corruption, bribery, and abuse of power, and on September 22, 2013, sentenced to life in prison. Over 70 posts were blocked on the day of the events and many more in the time following. Censorship isn't just current. We all remember the Tiananmen Square massacre of 1989, especially the people of China. However, the government would rather everyone forgets about it. They have had to censor words like June 4th, fire, blood, and the date May 35th, which people use as code for June 4th. One of the most unforgettable things about the massacre was the mystery tank man. For the most part, in China, this famous photo cannot be found, so people have created memes of the photo. Among them, an empty street, 4 tractors in front of a cow, a giant cat replacing the tanks, a praying mantis behind a car tire, and 4 giant rubber ducks replacing the tanks. These have resulted in phrases such as "big yellow duck" to be blocked. More recently, in January of 2013, journalists and commoners in China rallied and protested against censorship. Among them, one shouted, "They have the power. They control what the paper reports. They don't allow us to report stories about us commoners. Censorship. It kills the stories that should be printed. Why do they print false pictures of peace? Because they fear the power of the people. All they do is paint false pictures of peace and count all their achievements." Another said, "I am here to support Southern Weekend. When there is no freedom of the press, there are no basic human rights. Now we have no guarantee of rights. We hope to express our opinions and supervise our own government via the press. With regard to rights, censorship violates a few. Firstly, freedom of speech. Censorship directly violates this by definition. Freedom of speech, the right to express any opinions without censorship or restraint. Furthermore, censorship violates freedom of the press. Once again, the breach is in the definition. Freedom of the press, the right to circulate opinions in print without censorship by the government. Not only that, but it also violates freedom of assembly, the right to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. When the people try to protest against censorship, the authorities try to hush them up and get rid of them as quickly as possible. Regarding responsibilities, a few different groups have a role they have assigned themselves. The Chinese government feels it's their responsibility to protect the stability of communities by withholding certain knowledge that might inflame a situation and cause rioting. Some citizens of China feel it is their responsibility to try and alert people of them. They think that what the government is doing is wrong and that they should put a stop to it. Our own government takes its spot among those who disagree with China's government. They feel it's their partial responsibility to help the people of China regain their rights. In the end, the power behind censorship in China is strong and its methods are well honed. The longer it remains the norm, the stronger its proponents become. The desire for people to be free, however, is stronger. Censorship may last for a long time, but where people's rights are severely limited, it can't last forever.